Shalom, family. Welcome to Dreamy's Country Kitchen. If you've tuned in before, welcome back. Today I'm making apple pie pound cake. Here are the ingredients I'll be using: room temperature butter, room temperature eggs, flour, baking powder, salt, brown sugar, granulated sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, heavy whipping cream, and apples. Normally I would use Granny Smith apples, but I ran out of it, so I'm just going to use these. I'm going to begin by doing my apple filling first. I have some cut up apples that has already been washed and ready to go with brown sugar, cinnamon, and butter, and a splash of salt. Add a tablespoon of butter into the pan and then add in your brown sugar. I have my pan on medium. I'm going to also add in another tablespoon of butter. You can also add in a tablespoon of water if you'd like. I didn't want to do that unless I needed it. You can add in your apples now. Next, we're going to add in the cinnamon. This is something you want to stir occasionally so the apples don't stick, and check the liquid volume. You don't want too much liquid, but you also don't want it to run out of liquid before the apples have thoroughly cooked. I'm just going to add a pinch of salt to it. As you can see, the apples produced a lot of water along with the melted brown sugar. If it hadn't, I would have probably added a tablespoon of water to it or apple cider. The apples are almost done, so I'm adding in my teaspoon of vanilla. You can add more if you'd like. Our apples are finished. We have to set that aside and let it thoroughly cool before we add it to our batter. I'm going to begin to do my crumble topping. The measurements varied a little bit here. I used 4 to 6 tablespoons of butter, a cup and a half of flour, 2 to 3 teaspoons of cinnamon, and 1 cup of brown sugar. In order to combine it, I have just been pinching the ingredients together until I get a crumbly texture like this. I put the crumble on a baking sheet and into the oven for 10 to 15 minutes on 350. You have to be careful. You have to watch it closely because it can burn. So if it seems like your oven is too high, turn it down and then watch closely. This is what the crumble should look like when it's done. It shouldn't be soggy anymore or soft, and it definitely shouldn't be too hard. Finally, we're going to begin to make our cake batter. I've already put the butter in, and I'm going to add in my sugar now. You can mix on medium-high speed for the butter and sugar, but you don't want to overbeat it because it can cause your cake to fall. Definitely do not forget to turn it down before you add the eggs. I'm going to add my tablespoon of vanilla and my teaspoon of almond, and then I'm going to continue creaming the butter until it looks like this. Next, I'm going in with my eggs. Definitely add one at a time. And as soon as the yolk is broken and it's combined, add the next one. You want to make sure you slow down your mixer for this part. You don't want to overbeat the eggs. Don't forget to occasionally scrape the sides of your bowl down to mix all the ingredients completely. Next, I'm going to start alternating my dry ingredients with my liquid ingredients. I always start with flour and end with flour. I've already added my baking powder, salt, and spices into my flour. I greased my pan with shortening and then I sprinkled some cinnamon and sugar. I only added a little bit of apples to the bottom, but you can add more if you like. And then you're going to put your cake batter on top. You can layer apples throughout the cake. Most of the time they fall to the bottom. This is how mine looked going into the oven. I have my oven on 325. It's going to be in there for maybe about an hour and a half to 2 hours. The baking time will vary depending on what kind of oven you have. This is how my cake came out. So I'm just going to allow it to cool for 10 to 15 minutes and then I'm going to flip it out. This is what it looks like outside of the pan. I have it flipped upside down so that all the apples would be on the top. I'm going to allow the cake to cool completely before I glaze it. Now that my cake is cool and ready to glaze, I'm going in with my glaze on top. Next, I'm going to put some of the apples I prepared earlier. They're nice and cool, so they won't melt the icing. You can put as much as you want on top. Finally, I'm going to add our last ingredient, the crumble topping I made earlier. The cake is finally finished and ready to be served. I hope you enjoyed today's recipe. Thanks for watching. Please consider hitting the subscribe button and come back for more recipes. Shalom.